Ali here, and in today's video we're checking out Etna from Patching Panda, which is described as a triple control analog multi-mode filter, and it has a really unique feature called Snapshots, which allows us to morph between saved filter parameters, making it a really deep and performative module. The plan for today is to give an overview of Etna and then dive into some patches, so if that sounds good, please stick around. Also, please do subscribe if you're not already. And yeah, let's dive in to the video. Okay, so Etna has three independent filters. In the top left corner we have three inputs, on the right we have three outputs, so you can use Etna as a classic filter controlling three different oscillators, for example. And then we have this mix output, which I'm using here, which routes all three filters to one output. Each filter has an amplitude level and a frequency control. And then there's a global resonance. So let's bring up the resonance and have a listen to the low pass filter. Each filter can be either a 4-pole low pass or a 2-pole band pass or high pass. Let's have a listen to the band pass. And the high pass. It really is a lovely sounding filter. Next I'm going to bring up the amplitude for filters 2 and 3. Then I'm going to set the frequencies slightly different for each filter and use the frequency all control to move through all three filters. I really love that effect. And this one can be really nice with some sample and hold modulation, so I'm going to patch a sample and hold into the frequency all input. Each filter has an attenuator down here with an input, so we can modulate each filter independently. We can also modulate the resonance, and then there's an FM input as well, so we could patch in some audio rate stuff and get some crazy things happening. I've got a channel of maths here cycling, so let's patch it into the FM input and bring up the attenuator. And then we could change the filter type for each filter as well. So you can really easily get into experimental territory with these three independent filters. I love that. Next, let's take a look at these snapshots. So I have a sequence coming out of Pams going into the caster and Pollux, which is going into input 1, and that normalizes to inputs 2 and 3. I'm also using channel 4 of maths as my filter envelope. It's going into frequency 1, and that also normalizes over to 2 and 3. I'm using the mix out, so I've got all three filters going to my VCA, and I've got a gate going into the clock input, and this is going to clock the snapshot sequencer. Hopefully you can see the orange LEDs moving around the encoder. And let's bring in some drums. And now any movements which we make on these faders here is going to be recorded in real time. I have filters 2 and 3 set to bandpass, so let's bring up the frequency for those. And once you have something like this going, there's a load of cool things we can do. The encoder here has 3 different functions. The first one is changing the length of our sequence. I really like using odd numbers like 3, 5 and 7. It just gets some cool sort of polyrhythms happening. If we press the encoder, we're in the orange mode. Now we can offset this sequence. If we hit it again, we go into green mode, and this sort of highlights a specific snapshot which we can then edit. Also forgot to mention we have this glide control which sort of smooths out the transitions between snapshots. Let's bring the offset back and increase the length again. And if we hit edit all, this can do a few different things. Firstly, it can reset any parameter for every snapshot. It can be a great way just to get back to the basics. And once edit all is on, if we hit play, we can actually change the play direction. It will go from forwards to pendulum to random. Of course, we have the frequency all control, which is a really amazing feature when all of this complexity is going on. And also modulating the amplitude can be really good. Finally, we could bring in some FM. So you can see how easily you can get really complex and dynamic sequences happening. And I think for the rest of the video, we're just going to make some interesting patches. going on in this patch. I have the Vostok Sena here, which has 4 analog oscillators, each with a different wave shape. I have the square wave going into input 1, and that's kind of the main baseline of this patch. I have the sine wave doing this kind of rhythmical little thing. And the sawtooth is bringing this counter melody in. I have a sample and hold going into the frequency all input, and I also have a different sample and hold going into the position input, so we're getting a lot of randomness happening, as well as a lot of automation on the faders. It's an extremely complex sounding patch. And the final element is I have a triangle wave going into the FM input, which just brings some sort of glitchy weirdness. This one is a lot of fun. I've been jamming on this for quite a while. I think it really demonstrates the complexity you can get out of this pretty easily just by moving the sliders. For this patch, I have the resonance all the way up on Etna, and I'm sending in 3 different gates to the 3 different frequency inputs, essentially pinging the filters to make these sort of rhythmic drum patterns. I'm using all 3 outputs here. I have one down the center and the other 2 panned left and right, and I also have a clock in and the sequencer running, and it creates these really dynamic drum patterns. I'm just going to take the KO2 out. So this is what's coming out of Etna, but we can move all the parameters around. to explore with different drum sounds. The frequency all control is particularly good for this. It's one of my favourite ways of sort of creating percussion. I find that these sort of drum sounds, they're just really organic sounding. Bringing in some bit reduction on the effects aid. And finally on the OP1, I'm using it as a MIDI controller to control a sound from one of my sample packs called Modular Textures. Over 50 sounds in this and you can pick it up for just $5. Final jam. Firstly, I have plats going into filter 3 with a filter envelope coming from the Envy machine. So that's quite a standard sound. But I have braids going into filters 1 and 2 and panned left and right. And I'm modulating the frequency all control with the cutoffs set at different levels, so we get this really beautiful stereo sort of swirling filter. I'll take the modulation out and bring up the resonance. And you the stereo-ness of it. The harmonics are beautiful. Let's bring the modulation back. And we'll bring flats back. I was bringing in a little bit of beads just to add to the chaos. It's then all running into a stereo delay on the MFX and a bit of reverb on the effect side. Drums and bass are coming from the KO2. To summarise on Etna, first and foremost, it's a very beautiful sounding filter. In fact, it's 3 very beautiful sounding analog filters, and the extra layers of complexity that arise from the Snapshot sequencer kind of takes it to the next level, and it really does things that other filters do not do, so it's definitely worth checking out. It's a lot of fun to patch with, and I've really enjoyed making these jams. If you've enjoyed listening to the jams, then please leave a like and a comment. If you would like to help support my channel, then I have a Patreon account where I upload extra videos as well as sample packs and preset packs. They are also available on my online store. I have a couple of cassettes for sale that you can grab on Bandcamp. There are some affiliate links down below, and finally, you can grab one-to-one lessons as well on my online store. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you again soon.